all the panellists on this, but...
Sure. The longest temperature record for temperatures on this planet is a Central England temperature record, which goes back to the mid-1600s. And the first of the... the latest in the 17th century, the latest warming cycle in the 17th century going into the 18th century was faster and greater than the latest warming, which finished in 1995. And Justin Bieber wasn't flying his private jet around in the 1600s. That's the first thing. The second thing was we've had a pause in this so-called warming for now 21 years. Depends how you measure it, 21 years. And I'm absolutely stunned that someone who is inspired by Richard Feynman, a fantastic scientist who believes in empirical evidence, is quoting a consensus.
Can I just say, I brought the graph, right? I mean, can I just... I'll just tell you where the pause is. The pause that's often quoted. There's if you take this point here, which is about 1997, I think, and you ignore 2015, 2016, you can choose that point and you can draw a slightly straighter trend line on there. But that's a misunderstanding. The question is, does that rise? And also, secondly, I've got another graph, because I've heard it. Is it correlated with that, which is the graph that shows the CO2 emissions, the CO2 in parts per million in the atmosphere. And you see that peak there, where it goes flying up. So the question essentially is, first of all, are those two things correlated? And secondly, do we understand the physical mechanisms? And we understood those since the 19th century.
Brian,
I mean, I can teach you. I'll give you a lesson if you want. I can give you.
Can you go back to the middle of the graph there?
Yeah.
That
graph.
Yeah, the peak in the middle. What year is that?
That's about 1941.
Yeah, 1930s and 40s were warmer than the current decades. Where's that?
Well, no,
what's the data source?
Well, not exactly.
No, the original records are.
The
original records are far warmer. But the other thing that tells me that graph has got something wrong with it is that 1998 was about the same as 2015-16.
Okay, I'm just going to pause here. So you're hearing.
It was an El Nino year.
Both were El Nino years.
Malcolm, just 1 second. You're hearing the interpretation of a highly qualified scientist, and you're just saying, "I don't believe it." Is that right?
I'm saying two things. I'm saying two things. First of all, that the data has been corrupted, and we know that the 1930s were warmer than today.
Yeah. Corrupted? What do you mean corrupted?
Been manipulated. And
by who?
By NASA.
NASA?
Yes.
The people...
Guys,
no, so this is quite serious.
No, I'm going to just ask the audience, just hang on. We've actually got to hear what's being said here. So it's all very well to laugh, but we want to hear what's being said.
Steve Goddard, he has shown the NASA figures, and the graph was originally showing that 1930s were warmer than recent decades, and that is correct. And people have recognised that for many, many years. And in the recent years, they've been reversed so that the 1930s were reduced in temperature and the later periods were inflated in temperature. That's a fact. Now, the Bureau of Meteorology is exactly the same. And Greg Hunt squashed an investigation of the Bureau of Meteorology earlier this year.
OK, all right, Greg Hunt.
Can I just check one thing? NASA. Now, NASA.
Yes.
The people that landed men on the moon. I should just ask, actually, you believe we landed men on the moon?
But, see the little trick there?
No.
It's questioning whether or not I believe that I'm a moon skeptic. Now,
are you?
No, I'm not.
Oh, right. No, but I mean, it's a serious accusation. I mean, the idea that NASA and presumably, I should say to people, by the way, that the Australian Academy of Science have done a brilliant... You can never get any sense on programmes like this. They're adversarial and things. But the Science of Climate Change, the Australian Academy of Sciences report is superb. I brought it because I'm going to come and give it to you in a minute so you can have a read. But that's very good if you want to see this. But the point is that the accusation that NASA... Pretty all the Australian, the Met Office in the UK, everybody is collaborating to manipulate global temperature data.
Are you accusing me of saying they're collaborating?
Well, they've all manipulated it in the same way and accidentally got to the same answer. Is that what you're saying?
NASA was led by James Hansen.
What about the Met Office in the UK, then?
Well, this could go around all night.
Well, I know it could, yes.
It could go around all night. I want to hear from Greg Hunt.